What a day, what a day, what a day. Good afternoon to everyone. This is Brother Tyrone Jones. Want to welcome you back to the online Open Bible Study series. And we are going to uh, go into module number 3 today. Hope you are having a blessed day thus far. We have already taken a look at the introductory to give you some background information on what the online Open Bible Study is all about. We then took a look at the patriarchal period. That was module number 1. And then we took a look at the Mosaical and the Christian period. That was module number 2. Now, what I want to do is I want to emphasize I want to emphasize excuse me. I want to emphasize the importance of the historical periods of the Bible and how important it is for the person that you're studying with to understand those historical periods. Remember, we mentioned that uh, if a person does not understand that in the Old Testament, those laws were given by Moses, and versus the New Testament, which is the New Testament of Christ, that there's a difference between the two, and that we are no longer up under the Mosaical dispensation. And it's very important that they understand that we're not under the Mosaical, because if they don't understand, then they will have a tendency to continue to want to make an argument that we are governed by the Old Testament law. And so that's why through those modules, we took a look at all the historical aspects. Remember all the different circles, going from the patriarchal period, which focused on the family, the Mosaical period, which focused on uh, the nation of Israel, and the Christian period, which we're in today, which is the universal period. And so it's so important that you make sure that when you're studying with a person, that they must understand that we are no longer governed by the Old Testament, even though it's there for our learning. And it's a lot of learning there. We need that learning, but at the same time, we're governed by the New Testament of Christ, which was established on better promises. And so I just wanted to just talk a little bit about that today. So now in module number 3, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you an overview of the GACCOBS.org website. And it's important that you uh, become acquainted with this website, because there's a lot of information in this website that will be instrumental in helping you to teach and to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with individuals that you come in contact with. And so the other thing that I want to mention too, and I know those of you who have been engaged in the activities in the Google Classroom, let me say this. I know the Google Classroom is new for some of you all, and you're navigating and you're trying to find out how to do certain things in this classroom. And one of the things that's so critical and important about new technology is that you need training. And so we're going to make a way for training to take place on really how to navigate the Google Classroom. Now, the things that have been taking place currently, there have been announcements that I have made to the class. There have been the upload of the modules. There have been classwork assignments that have been assigned, and they have come through what we call the Google Docs. And so those assignments are on the Google Docs, and you have to go into the Google Doc and be able to answer the questions. And so it comes, well, how do I do this? I know I'm clicking on this and I know I need to do this, but depending on whether or not you're using your laptop or your iPhone, iPad, um, there is a system in place that you have to use. And many of you have asked questions, and I've tried to respond to those questions. And so, what I'm going to do, just to make sure that if you're in this class and you're taking this online course, that you have a better understanding. But I will say this: make sure that you have downloaded the Google Classroom app onto your laptop, your iPad, and your iPhone. Make sure you've downloaded that. And in one of the announcements, I did send a a description of how to access the Google Classroom and how to download those documents. And of course, we know sometimes that helps, and then sometimes it doesn't help because sometimes you need step by step processes to help you get through it. And so, just wanted to let you know that we're going to make sure that that happens. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out an announcement. I'm going to send out an announcement. I'm going to ask how many of you would like the Google classroom classroom training, and we're going to set up Zoom a Zoom to where you will be trained on how to really navigate the Google Classroom, and it's pretty cool system in place. And just like you, I am also a student in the Google Classroom. So that means when I send out information to you all, I'm also receiving the information myself, and I go in and you say, well, why do you need to answer the questions? Well, I answer them because I'm also practicing with this new system. And so I just wanted to let you know that the training is coming, and we will send out an announcement. And those of you that want to be trained on Google Classroom, we're going to make sure that you receive the training. Now, I won't be doing the training on this item, but Brother Brent Rusk, who is a member of the church, he will be doing the training. He's an expert at Google Classroom technology. And so that's why I say it's important that you understand how to use it. So when you're using it, you're having fun using it. It's nothing more frustrating than to be involved in something that you can't do, and frustrating. And what it'll cause you to do, well, I don't feel like doing this. I'm not going to open. And we get that and we understand that. And so that's why we're going to make sure that we put this in place. All right. So today is module number 3. And remember, this module is just an overview of the Open Bible Study website. And so if you're taking notes, it's GACCOBS.org. GACCOBS.org. You can access the website. And so, what I want to do is just give you an overview of the site so you can see exactly what's on it and what's available. to you. And not only to say that, but this website uh, is so significant that if you just had your phone or your iPad or even your laptop, you can teach a person right there on this website uh, as long as you know where the materials are. You can also have that individual to pull the website up as well. And so now some of the materials on there, of course, when you download, you would have to print them. But at the same time, even if you don't download them, you can still go through the process. And so this is module number 3. All right, and I'm going to give you an overview, and your assignment will be to navigate this rascal, navigate it, and just kind of toy around with it so you can become familiar with it. A lot of work has gone into developing this site, and it could be a real good friend of yours if you really study it. All right, so let's begin here. So here is the home. I'm just going to click on home. I'm going to go across um, the drop down. So here's the home. I'm clicking on home, and then I'm going to stroll down. And so now, what do you see? You see the purpose. See, our purpose, the purpose of the OBS website is to be a resource for personal evangelism open Bible study class taught on Wednesday nights, but not only on Wednesday night, but also on the online open Bible study series. Now, when we designed it, it was a resource for the class, but it's also a resource for this class as well. What will it help us do? This site will provide access to pertinent information related directly to the class and will be a resource to teachers, silent partners, and members to help them to study and research certain topics discussed during the course of the study. So that's the purpose. That's the purpose of this class. And remember we said before is that in this class, we want to make sure that you're able to go out into the world. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, you want to study with somebody in Alabama, want to study with somebody in Washington, D.C., you have access to this material, and they too have access to this material. And that's what makes this site so unique. And so that's the purpose. And if you stroll down, you see some things on there like take the convert challenge and win souls. That was an app that we utilized before. And then you see information about the muscle and shovel book. And we're going to be dealing with the muscle and shovel book in the month of May. There's going to be a big initiative centered around muscle and shovel book. And of course, um, along what can we do together? We have the power. And you notice I emphasize that all the time. And as you stroll down, notice as you stroll down, there are a lot of tips there. How to give God the glory, tips for building relationships, message from the evangelism program, uh, how to talk to people when setting up classes, telephone callers procedure, uh, your silent partner. What does a silent partner do, or the responsibility of a silent partner when teaching the course? A test to give to the church, and there are many others to share. How do I become a volunteer? So there's just quite a bit here, and that's why I say you as the student take ownership and really dig into this as you would with anything new and up and coming, haven't been involved in it before. Now I'm going to go over to about, and just so you know the significance of this open Bible study. You click on About, and so now you have some background information. So the founder of this open Bible study is Ivan Stewart. Upon the marriage to his wife Polly back in 1944, she was a recent convert and was aware that preaching alone was not sufficient. And he tried personal studies for 6 months and didn't have any success. And so this is Ivan Stewart, the founder, the author, and he didn't have any success. And so his first conversion as was a result of the open Bible study. And I'm glad I said that because once you have gone through this open Bible study and you have actually utilized it and you have seen God give the increase, what a joy this can be to you. And so it is a useful tool in helping someone understand the way to be saved and Christian responsibility. The other thing is, it's easy to understand, it's simple to follow, and to the point. And so, and it's an overview of some of the scriptures that most directly deal with salvation. Now, notice what I just said. It is an overview of some of the scriptures, not all, but it is an overview of some of the scriptures that most directly deal with salvation. And once you go through this and you begin to see it, you're going to be, yes, I can see why. Because it is loaded. It is loaded like a baked potato with all the toppings on it. Now, I'm not going to go into meeting the team. You can take a look, but I do have a administration team that works directly with me. And if you go up under there, you'll be able to see those individuals, their pictures, and the role in which they play with the evangelism program. Now, I'm going to skip the good news. You can click on that, but I'm going to go over to the historical periods. Now, go ahead and just say, wow, here it is. We talked about the patriarchal period and we talked about the Mosaical period, but now you can see it for yourself. This information is on the website. So I'm going to click on the patriarchal period. There it is. And you just stroll down. And these were the things that you were hearing me talk about as we discussed the patriarchal period. So that information is right here. Now, a lot of individuals will sit up and think and say, I have to be an expert. You don't have to be an expert to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't have to be an expert, but you do need to have some basic understanding of how to share. And so you don't have to be an expert. A lot of people are afraid to share information because they think I have to be an expert. Well, if you can read and write, you can read and write. Here's a system right here. Now, just to recall, if you go back to the patriarchal period and you remember the circle, what I just showed you outlines everything in the circle. So if you go back down from Adam all the way over to Israel and Egypt, this covers it. Information covers it. All you have to do is stroll down. That's why I say the website can be a real good friend of yours. And then what I like most, it gives you the timeline right here: the creation, the fall of man, wickedness, the flood, the confusion of the tongue, the call of Abraham, Egyptian bondage, and then the giving of the Ten Commandments. You all remember the Ten Commandments being in between the Mosaical period and, I mean, the patriarchal period and the Mosaical period. There's the Ten Commandments right there. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to know that this resource is there. Now let's click on the Mosaical period. Here we go. Wonderful. There's the chronological dispensation of it. This covers everything in those circles. It covers all information in those circles that I discussed in module number 2. And then look what happens down here. There it is. The entire timeline. Wickedness, wilderness, the conquest of Canaan, the judges, the united kingdom, the divided kingdoms, the fall of Israel to the Assyrians, the fall of Judah to Babylonian, the return of the Jew, the Macedonian period, and then what happened? The life of who? Jesus Christ. And so you see the cross there. If you remember within the dispensation chart, you had the Mosaical period, which was a complete service, uh, and then you had the cross that's between the Mosaical and the Christian dispensation, and the cross is the dividing line there. And then you remember or recall that the Christian dispensation was half circle, and so it's half circle because it's not complete yet. And so just wanted to point that out. So this is the perfect outline. That's why I say, and the scripture references are there for you. The scripture references are there. All right, I just clicked on the church timeline, and this is just some basic church history. If you click on that, it gives you the name of a church, a date when it started, where, who, the founders. And I have another chart that is much, much more detailed than this, but this is certainly enough information to help a person see that why there are so many churches. And that's a lesson within itself. All right, now, that's up on the historical period. Now, just think about this for a moment. So, at the end of this module, of course, you know I'm going to ask you 5 questions. And all those 5 questions will just be dealing with where can I locate certain information? Where can I locate certain information? And that's what the assignment will be, is to see if you're able to locate some information. Now, let's go over to the training material. Now, notice once I clicked on the training material, what do you see? You see the podcast. And now you see the online open Bible study course. We just added that on there a week ago. You can now click on that, and the introductory video will be there. Module 1 video will be there, and Module 2. So some of you might say, well, I didn't get a chance to see it. Well, now you're able to access it clearly. All you have to do is go up on the training materials, click on the online open Bible study, and you will see that material there. Now, the mouse is just on training. I haven't trained the material. I haven't clicked it. So if I go down and I click on one of these, that's what I'm doing. What this will pull up. But for time's sake, I'm not going to go through that because you can take a look at that and just by clicking on one of those. Now I'm going to click on training materials. So now here is all of the training material that's needed. And some of this information is what you would say supplemental information that you can use when you're teaching. But for example, analogies and metaphors. Well, you need more understanding about um, analogies and metaphors. This is a perfect download PowerPoint that you can pull up and access and be able to get a better understanding of what are analogies and metaphors and how are they utilized in the Bible. And then evangelism workshop ways to initiate spiritual conversation. So you're wondering, how do I make conversation with people? There's the perfect PowerPoint designed to help you with some basic things to make conversation with people. And then there's the introduction again, and that's all about the open Bible study. Now, OBS lesson number 1, which we will begin next week, and this is a PowerPoint. OBS lesson 2 is another PowerPoint. OBS lesson 3, those are the 3 PowerPoints that you can download and print at any time you want. Any of this information can be printed at any time when you want it. And then I'm going to click on the OBS lesson sequence so you can see this. So now here, these are all the lessons. Lesson 1, that's the pink one. Lesson 2, that's blue. Lesson 3, that's the gold one. And then the OBS worksheet ladder. These are all the lessons that are in this series. And so the information is there with you. That's why I was saying that if I'm in Texas and somebody else is in New York, you can still study with that person right there. All they have to do is open it up and you begin your lesson. The outline is there for you. The telephone approach, I mentioned that. How do I talk to people to set up a Bible class? Telephone strategies. Personal evangelism, we talked about that. Apostasy, dealing with, the falling away. A plan of action to save a lost soul. This is a modified lesson that we use as well. There's a comparison of the Old Testament circumcision and versus baptism. Remember, some of this information is just supplemental information. But here you go. You have some information about sprinkled baptism and that sort of thing. The methods of Jesus Christ, the training. Then you have a commitment and consistency training, establishing a need, and then some OBS facts that are there. And then this right here is the OBS ladder. I want you to take a look at this because this ladder, which that yellow sheet that you saw, the answers to it, the steps on that ladder, they're right here. The answer to it, the ladder, the steps are right there. And when we are going through the system of the lessons, you're going to see how all of this information connects. And believe me, it is beautiful. And then here's the dispensation chart. You all remember that? That's what we were dealing with the first 2 modules. There it is. It's right there to you. You don't have no paper. It's not, you can just click on it. And it's there for you. It's there for whomever it is that you're studying with. It's right there. And you can teach them. Not only that, if those of you who are very advanced with, different windows and how to maneuver through different windows, you can have the dispensation chart up. You can also have the timelines next to it. And you can go right through it and and I'm talking about give a clear answer to this chart. So I just wanted you to see that. What a beautiful resource. Now, all of that comes up under the training material, okay? There's a lot there for you to look at, and I invite you to go take a look at it. And then more resources. Look at this. You don't have a Bible. Yes, you do. You see that Bible right there? You click on that Bible, it's going to take you to a Bible. And I know I mean, mostly everyone has a Bible on their own phone. Well, I'm just saying you cannot say I don't have a Bible because here's a King James version of the Bible right here. All the books, both the Old and the New Testament. Okay, it's right there. So this you have a resource, and that's just the Bible. Now, books of the Bible. You want a person to become familiar with the books of the Bible. There it is, right there. Old Testament, New Testament books are right there. Of course, we all need to be familiar with the books of the Bible. And then our good friend, the plan of salvation. Remember, we said that we know that the Open Bible Study series is comprehensive, but there are moments when you don't have time, you won't be able to utilize the comprehensive method. But you do need to have an understanding of the plan of salvation. And here it is. You know, we think about man's needs, Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and what? Fallen short of the glory of God. And then you have here, there's a scripture references for hearing, scriptural references for believing, scriptural references for repenting, scriptural referencing for confessing. You have that information right there. Just as it is announced every week in the worship service. And there are a lot of additional information that are there, especially on the one baptism. Look at all the scripture references there for just the one baptism, the pattern of salvation. So there's a beautiful resource there for you. I like that. And then by basic Bible references. And you all probably don't remember this, but I gave out a couple of years ago the 6 piece of spiritual food. I gave every family in the congregation one of those boxes, and there's a blue card in there that has the blue and white card that has the basic Bible references on there. Here it is. It's outlined right here. Apostasy. You need to know about apostasy, attendance, authority of the Bible, baptism, being saved. There's a plan of salvation again. The church, the conversions. You need to reference a conversion, and I like that because it's always good. You know, when especially when you're teaching a modified lesson. I know we reference the Ethiopian eunuch quite a bit because of the nature of it. But any one of these conversions can be utilized. Division, divorce, elders and ministers, eternal punishment, faith only, false teaching, grace, the Holy Spirit, inspiration, judgment, the kingdom, the Lord's Supper, music, name, obedience. It's all there. And that's what I like about that blue and white card. I love that card. If you got that card, you got one of the biggest resources on this on the site right now. Look at all that information there. There's no reason for you not to be equipped to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then, of course, the OBS lesson number one, a scripture reference guide. So there are 3 lessons, right? You got OBS lesson number one, you got OBS lesson number two, you got OBS lesson number three. And for each lesson, and we developed these scripture references within the last, I would say, 6, 7 years when we were uh, teaching the class and we were in some discussions and we were gathering as many scripture references that we could in the event that a person didn't understand, you were able to reference other scriptures to help a person understand. So I'm going to click on just number one. I'm not going to go through the others, but I'm going to let you see how this works. For example, in lesson number one, so there are, so you know, in lesson number one, there are 20 questions. There are 20 questions in lesson number one. Now, here's question number one. The main scripture reference for that's on the lesson is Second Peter 1 and 3. But if a person does not understand from you sharing Second Peter chapter 1 and 3, now you can go to John 14:6, John 16:13, Acts 4:12, Galatians 1, 8 through 9, Jude 3. And for all the questions, some may not have as many scripture references, but by and large, there are some scripture references there. For example, you see in uh, question number 8 and 9, you don't see any references in there. Question number 12 and 13, but we know that there are some more references there. And so you have a map that can help you navigate through there. And so each lesson, the pink lesson, lesson number one, the blue lesson, lesson number two, the gold lesson, lesson number three, those are references that are available when you need help. That's what I say. When you need help, there's a friend there. And all you have to do is reference it, go to it, and get some help. Now, these different forms, I'm not going to look at that, but I do want to reference a glossary of vocabulary words. Now, these are just some of the basic vocabulary words that are through the lesson. Abolish. I'm not going to say all these words, but these are vocabulary that you need to make sure that you understand when you're studying with someone, because one of the things about reading that Bible, oftentimes people don't understand it, is because of the words. And you have to bring those words to life. You got to animate those words and bring them to life. And so knowing the understanding, knowing the definition of those words will help in a very, very deep manner. Now, these are just a few, but as you go down, they are very relevant to all three of those lessons. That's just a few, but you as a student, you as a teacher, you make sure that when you go into that lesson, and we're gonna be able to get into that a lot more once we get into the lesson next week, and we're gonna be able to uh, break those words down and break those phrases down in those scriptures, and you'll see how to make it more relevant to the person that you're teaching. And the reason I say that is because many people read the Bible and they read it like it's a novel. The Bible is not a novel where you just zoom, 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 and you say, "Well, I've finished." No, you have not finished. You may have think you finished or thought you finished. You have not read that Bible because there's too much information that to be covered, and so it's important to understand that. And so there's a glossary. And then, for example, events that are coming up. I'll click on that. Now, here you will see the Evangelism Good News Ambassadors Activities 2025. So these are activities of the Good News Ambassador, evangelism. These are programs. For example, on March the 29th, salvation has been brought down. Um, I mean, right here, March the 29th and the 13th. We have two of those series that are coming up. But this is a podcast that we generally run on Tuesdays at noon, but we're not running it as we speak right now. Every Thursday, Prayer with Purpose, every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Many of you have been watching the Did You Know series. And then we got the GACC Good News Ambassador 5K walk that's coming up in June. And then we have those canvassing homeless outreach that take place. And I talked about that during the Connect weekend on Evangelism. Our annual gospel campaign, August the 3rd through the 7th. The share lectures, we have those twice a year. We have one that's centered around youth. That date is not on there. Well, the youth date is on there. There are two dates, left one off. And then the Metroplex Evangelism Workshop, October 11th. And again, here's the website, gaccobs.org. And there's the website for you. And then the rest of it is just basic information that you can go through. And so I want to invite you to take advantage of this resource. I want to invite you to talk to others about this resource. I want to invite you to share this information with people within your circle, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and allow them to take a look at this information. And I'm urging you to utilize it as a resource that when you are studying, this is a friend. I mean, ain't just any kind of friend, because this friend is going to be there when you need him. And it's the gaccobs.org website. And so, again, I hope this was helpful. This is module number 3, an overview of the gaccobs.org website. And this beautiful site definitely help you in your growth and development as you continue to strive to seek and save lost souls. And I'm glad it's there because I utilize it all the time. And the thing about it, we're constantly becoming more and more innovative. And we're seeking other ways that we can share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so, and with this putting these efforts in, and prayer is that God will bless us, bless not only the church here at Greenville Avenue, but the churches of Christ throughout this land and country, the churches of Christ throughout the world, the missions, all the different church activities that are taking place. And this resource, the Open Bible Study online series, again, it is designed for us to go out into the world and to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And of course, I said I would add those 5 questions. I'm going to add those 5 questions, and they will deal directly with navigating where do you go to find certain information. All you got to do is go back to the video and find the answer. So again, I thank you so much for being a part of this course. I am your instructor, Brother Tyrone Jones, and I'm just so delighted to have this opportunity to share this work with you. And I'm praying that it will be a blessing to us all. And so God bless you, and look forward to next week, same place, same time, same channel. We'll be looking at module 4, which will be the beginning of the actual Open Bible Study, lesson number 1. Bless you. We'll see you soon.